Race number 45 of the season. It was
Is it race number 5?
Something like that. I don't
6?
know. It might be.
Hard to keep track.
It's too many races, really. I think
Time flies when you're having fun.
I think they need to get rid of the races and go to 2 races per season.
2 races per season. It would lighten our load a lot.
Yeah, it'd make things a lot easier. 2 podcasts per year.
Yeah.
We might get upwards of 20 views.
We might have 46 total listens in the entire season, but yeah, rarity.
Baby.
But here we are. The Chinese GP.
China. It's not actually in Shanghai, though, is it? Guan
I
Yu
believe
Zhou
it
is
is.
from Shanghai. Okay, well, there you go. The Chinese GP maybe in Shanghai.
I've always said best Grand Prix.
Best Grand Prix.
Other people say not as great of Grand Prix. Not me. I say China GP, number 1 GP. China.
Now, let me tell you about China.
They repainted the track. It was a little dreadful. Made the tires weird. Very, very awful, but great GP.
And
great.
The grass. Don't even get me started.
They might have also reports came in. They painted the grass. Can you believe that? They painted the grass. They painted it green. It was actually dead. It caught on fire.
The grass in this place lighting up.
Best grass I've ever
everywhere.
seen.
Those Chinese know
fires. Yeah.
Yeah. The Chinese Grand Prix. Pretty, I'd say, good Grand Prix. First sprint race of the season.
Yes, first sprint weekend.
This weekend.
Yep.
So exciting stuff there.
And the only kind of pre-news is the stuff that I did in a poor Donald Trump impression, but they did not they got there.
Well,
and
we'll get into the track difficulties and stuff.
All right.
Let's stick to the order of things here.
Yes.
And let's just double check our viewer emails. Viewer emails.
Do you have it pulled up? Just to be honest, I don't.
It's
all right.
Pull it up.
I'll be super fast.
Instantaneously, with technology nowadays. So we have 3 emails.
Okay.
From our superfan.
Lead it up.
So let's start with number 1.
Yep.
What is the rationale of having a sprint race on a track no one has seen in 5 years? The drivers get 1 hour of practice and then start racing. Shouldn't this be a regular race? And to that, I'd say probably, actually, yeah.
That would make a lot of sense, but I don't think it's about sense.
Yeah,
I think it's about making things exciting, and who knows? I cannot confirm this, but I wonder if sprint weekend costs are higher because you get more F1 racing.
It's possible. On the topic of making things more exciting, I'd agree with you. We have a track that's new. People didn't get a lot of time to race on it. And it didn't get a lot of time to rubber in, and then you have a race, right? Exciting stuff. But it seems to me, and we'll get into this when we start talking about the race more, but it seems like the FIA wants to make racing as boring as possible.
It does appear that way.
After we've watched this race.
It does appear that way.
So we'll get into why later on, but so I don't know if they do care about making things exciting, honestly, because they seem quite anti-excitement.
And to be completely honest, the grandstands were a little empty.
Parts of them were very empty. Parts of them. Like the main straight was fine.
Main straight was great.
But they had a lot of grandstands that they just had covered.
2 or 3 entire grandstands that were covered that nobody attended, which is strange. And then...
It was strange.
You have a sprint weekend, so there's more F1 racing. I think F1 is just trying to figure out where the best sprint races are. So they're just trying them.
Yeah, you could be right.
And that's okay.
You could be right.
Like, I'm a part of like this. You do you answer surveys as an F1 fan.
Oh, interesting.
And I've done a ton of them, but every weekend. No.
Oh, I used to do surveys for Google, and
I
got
remember
paid.
you did get paid. Didn't you make like $14
I made quite a bit of money. Yeah, I
in Google
bought a bunch
rewards?
of apps and stuff
Yeah.
with that money. That was great.
Yeah, those were the
Icon
days.
packs for my Android phone. It was
Those were
good
the
stuff.
days
Yeah.
when you get paid for answered questions. But no, I don't think I get paid. I just feel like maybe I'm actually having an effect, which is foolish. But yeah, and they were asking about what fans thought of the sprint being at Shanghai, and then also what we thought of the new format, which we'll get into.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're very curious about a lot of things.
Yes.
They don't ask about rules ever, but they ask about what you think of tracks and what you think of the racing. They're very concerned with that.
Interesting.
Formula One itself, that's what they're asking people.
Well, I think the racing is great until they give everybody penalties for actually racing.
Which we'll get to.
Which we'll get to. The next question.
Here we go. Question number 2.
From our superfan is how can F1 say a GM Cadillac backed team adds no value to the grid? There's 3 races in the US. Would a US based team open more NASCAR fans to come over to F1?
Hallelujah, brother. You're preaching to the choir. That makes perfect sense.
It does make a lot of sense.
I mean, Haas is a team that has ownership in NASCAR as well.
It
but
is.
Haas did a dreadful job marketing Haas NASCAR fans to come over and watch Formula One. They did no job, actually.
I think people
don't think
often
they did
forget
a
that
job.
Haas is an American team, honestly.
And I think they forget that Haas is like actually successful in NASCAR,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
like champions.
Yeah. They are successful in NASCAR.
Yeah.
It's easy to forget because their commitment to F1 seems lower, I'd
Yes.
say.
But they got in.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me that F1 is not taking Andretti Cadillac seriously.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's pretty
When
wild.
Cadillac is showing that they're fairly, for whatever I will say it's strange for Cadillac as a luxury brand
Yep.
to get into racing, but it is what it is. Cadillac can do whatever they want.
You could say the same about Mercedes as well. Like, for the most part, Mercedes is a luxury brand with some sporty vehicles.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's the same with Cadillac.
I guess it's probably just the bias that I have because of like Cadillacs kind of being, old man type vehicles. Like they have great performance.
That's interesting because you like Cadillac more than I do.
I know, because they have the ATS-V, the CTS-V, the CT5 Blackwing, the CT4 Blackwing, and the Escalade V. Now they have a great catalog of performance cars, and right now they have a fantastic endurance racing car that has done really well.
That's true.
So their pedigree is getting up there, but it is just kind of funny for like Cadillac. I always think of long, big, luxurious. So it's kind of funny for that to enter in, but I think maybe they're trying to change their brand.
And forgive me if I was wrong, but isn't there some rumors about another team also trying to enter F1 that were circulating recently that isn't Andretti? And people were like,
oh, is that the Chinese team? Was that the Chinese F2 team?
It could have been. I can't remember, but there was some talk about some other team potentially entering.
Somebody else put a bid in, and I went, I doubt it. I doubt that's going to happen. I think it was an F2 team.
But it almost sounded like they were planning on buying out another team. But, like, I'm trying to think who's selling right now, other than maybe Alpine. I wouldn't be that shocked if they decided to cut their losses, but they also just got a bunch of new investment last year.
Well, yeah, they are offering to sell it, but you have to guarantee that you use an Alpine powertrain to keep the engine engineers employed.
Oh, that's like the worst part of the car.
Uh-huh. So it's like, hey, you get a spot on the grid, you get the team, which you will most likely completely fire, but you must use our bad powertrain for, I think it's 3 years.
Interesting.
To keep our engine engineers employed so that they can keep working on this.
Interesting. Yeah, because I believe there was another team that, like, there were rumors circulating about them making a bid to enter.
I'm trying to look it up.
I just can't remember who that was. And this email just jogged my memory, or else I would have looked it up beforehand. But so That's that. But yeah, I mean,
High Tech, which is a British racing team, I believe that they are in Formula 2. High
okay.
Tech is looking and getting into it with investment from Kazakh billionaire Vladimir Tim. For
Hmm.
those of you who don't know, Kazakhstan is under Russia.
It is, yes, underneath, geographically
So
speaking.
technically, Kazakhstanis can invest and then take part in Formula One.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say whether many people actually live in Kazakhstan, and I'm not going to say whether it's super easy to just become a citizen of Kazakhstan and then, get around all the.
This guy's pretending he knows all the laws of Kazakhstan.
No, I'm just saying it's not like it's like super easy to get into Kazakhstan and then circumvent all those big nasty rules because of a war going on.
Hey, I don't know, man. Are we gonna see a return of Nikita Mazepin, newly Kazakhstani citizen?
At high tech GP Formula One. Yeah, no. To get back to the question, I don't know how. Is it Formula? It was Formula One who said it. It's not the FIA.
They don't introduce enough value. Yeah,
the FIA is interested. Formula One said they weren't. I don't know what they're smoking.
Well, both of them kind of flip flop back and forth.
Because
seems.
Liberty
But
Media clearly wants to get market share in the United States.
They've been pretty adamant about that. So
and they've been successful. So it's like, what if you had a good American team?
It makes sense to.
I would cheer for it.
I would be excited for any new team to join.
I would cheer for it.
Yeah.
I'm closer to Andretti than Ferrari.
Yeah.
I don't want to ditch Ferrari, but it's like I would actively cheer for them if they're like a good midfield team.
I probably wouldn't. But I'd be interested to see how they do. I can't say I'd be cheering for them. I've got too much commitment to Aston Martin at this point.
Well,
love those guys.
Of course. And you kind of maxed out at like 3 teams.
Yeah.
2 or 3 teams.
You can kind of root for like a third team, sort of.
Yeah.
You kind of like got 2.
I don't really like Haas. I would like to. I would prefer to see Haas replaced by Andretti.
Oh, and there was talk. That's the other thing that there's been rumors about Gunther trying to re-enter F1 potentially by buying out a team somehow.
That'd be crazy.
Because he said he was trying to find a way to re-enter F1 as an owner of a team. So that was the other rumor. I knew there was another thing I remembered that wasn't about an F2 team joining, and it was Gunther apparently trying to make some sort of bid. There's been some. I don't know
if
how
Andretti was smart, they would get him on their team somehow.
Yeah, I agree.
He's massive in the U.S.
He's got a lot of popularity. He's experienced in Formula One. I don't know if he was actually a good team principal or not, to be honest with you, but people like him. I don't know if the drivers that drive under him like him that much.
They didn't do better under him, but he's a great personality.
Yeah.
So if you could just get him in some sort of role that allows his personality to be linked to the team.
Yep.
And then
get some support for the team and everything because people like Gunther, yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, who knows? Maybe Steiner will make some sort of comeback. We don't really know.
Maybe, but I think we can both agree, according to Drain Guys, Andretti has a spot in F1.
I think they should. Yeah, absolutely. There's no reason.
I think they can stretch it to 22 cars, like a 22 car field as well. I think 11 teams can exist.
Oh,
I do
easily.
think that.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Everybody's just clutching their pearls.
It seems like the new regulations coming in, which I know there's a lot of debate about these, which we haven't really talked about.
Yeah.
But it seems like they're supposed to make the cars a little bit smaller again.
Yeah.
So then you should have that kind of extra room for another team to enter. Physically, yeah, as well. So I don't see why not. I think they should re-enter. Hopefully we see that happen, but we'll have to
find out.
Wait and see. But yeah, we're for it.
We're for it.
Or for Andretti and Cadillac.
I don't know what Formula One's doing. I don't know what the back end of it is, but it makes no sense.
It does not make any sense. But that brings us to our final question. Final question titled Just Lance Stroll is, after Stroll runs into the back of lame duck Ricardo, Twitter is calling for Lance to be canned. What are our thoughts? So this will get us into the race a little bit, but we will address it.
This will also get us out of the interview that we just worked so hard at earning last week.
I know, yeah, it will. So thanks for that, 'cause we love Lance here.
We love Lance. We love Canadian drivers. This is Canadian content.
So what happened was there was a safety car, and everybody was driving nice and slowly behind the safety car, and then Max, under a green flag, turned around a corner that was quite a sharp corner, and then he accelerated after the corner
He
to
gunned it.
reintroduce green flag racing.
Yes.
And a couple of people, one of them might have been named Fernando Alonso, kind of locked up the brakes going into this corner, and then that caused a bunch of people to stop very suddenly. Lance might not have been paying the most attention and might have driven straight into the back of Ricardo, who then in turn was bumped straight into the back of Oscar Piastri, and this prompted Lance, which I might have called Lando earlier. I don't know.
No, you called
This
him Lance.
prompted Lance to call Ricardo an idiot for brake checking him.
It was the heat of the moment.
It was a heat of the moment.
It was the heat of the
You
moment.
hear drivers do it all the time. They get mad at somebody for something that's like kind of meh, you probably didn't need to get mad at them for. It happens constantly. We had Fernando 2 seasons ago call Hamilton an idiot and somebody that didn't know how to drive anywhere but the front of the grid.
That was crazy.
That was
That was
and
crazy.
he apologized for that one. So it happens all the time. You get drivers saying some funny things in the heat of the moment. And I gotta say on this one, yes, it was Lance's fault. Okay. I don't know if Lance should lose his seat because of one crash. There's a lot of other reasons why I think he should maybe lose his seat. And we've already said that we think it'd be positive for him to go to endurance racing.
That doesn't mean he should lose his seat.
Yeah. But him being constantly outperformed by Fernando would suggest maybe Lance shouldn't keep his seat forever. But we do love Lance here.
We do
We'd love to
Lance.
have him on
Absolutely.
and discuss not that with him. But anything else.
Yes. We respect his Canadian heritage as well.
Yeah, we'd like to talk about that. It'd be a good subject. Talk about his Canadian heritage.
It'd be fantastic.
So, what I want to get at here, though, is I think Ricardo blew this a bit out of proportion after the race. This knocked Ricardo out of the race, and he was understandably upset.
Ruined his race.
And then Ricardo, once he heard that Lance called him an idiot, kind of blew up and was like, well, yeah, I think Lance...
He's like, I was calm, but now I'm fired back up.
Yeah, now I'm angry, and I'm being nice here, but, like... So I don't think he should be the one calling people an idiot here.
Drama.
And basically Ricardo, without saying it in so many words, indicated that he thought Lance shouldn't be in F1. I'd say that's a pretty easy interpretation of what Ricardo said. I think Ricardo is kind of like he needs to chill and also shouldn't be talking. For a guy that's had very spotty performances in the last 4-5 years of his career in F1, he probably needs to relax on him also firing back at people, to be honest.
This is a painful segment for me.
Because Ricardo has been performing extremely poorly for the last very long amount of time that he's been in F1, with his last win coming in 2021, which I don't even like. Yeah, it was kind of like...
It was a third place that turned into a first.
But that was Max
Verstappen's first win.
Yeah, it's true, but...
Greatness.
So
no, Ricardo's had a hard time. Look, here's what happened.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether you think Lance Stroll should be in F1 or not, feel free to send letters to Aston Martin F1.
Yeah.
Don't drag us into it. We've got interviews to try and secure here.
Yeah, we're trying to talk to Lance. And we're this close, and you guys are really screwing it up by asking us these kinds of questions.
You know, you're putting us in a tough spot. But for journalistic integrity, we have to do what's right.
Yeah.
It was a mistake. It was a bad mistake. In the video, you can see, so it's a super tight hairpin. So when they're coming in, you can see Lance look to the left. Mm-hmm. And what he's watching, so that people understand, he's watching to see if the 5 cars ahead of him take off so that he can prepare to take off and get a good safety car restart.
Yep.
That's what he was watching.
Yeah, that's what he was doing there.
Fernando Alonso locked up the brakes. It caused him to go straight. And because of the rules of the safety car restart, if you pass somebody under the safety car, you get penalized heavily.
Yes.
So nobody wanted to pass anyone. So George Russell had to stay behind him. Piastri had to stay behind Russell. So everybody's trapped in this line. Ricardo basically came to a stop.
Yes.
And Stroll was not looking because he was trying to keep on top of the race and hit into the back of him.
Yeah.
Got a little angry over the radio, which is understandable. And there we are.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you come up to a line of cars at a green light, except none of them are moving, and you're a little confused for a second. That's sort of what happened to Lance here.
And you might get angry. I get angry.
Yeah, I get frustrated by that. I don't usually hit the back of the person that's stopped in the lineup. But
I've always wanted to.
You do feel like doing it. I agree with that.
I've said multiple times to multiple people, wouldn't it be nice if you could just rear end somebody with no physical consequences?
I agree.
Just so that they understood, like if somebody's going, 5 under the speed limit, which is effectively 15 under the speed limit.
Yeah.
If you could just hit the back of their car and it wouldn't cause them any physical damage, and it wouldn't cause you much financial damage.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I would pay $500 to rear end somebody.
I agree.
If that's all it was.
Yeah.
Even if it was like a pretty good crunch, I'd pay for it.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Just to be able to do it, just for the rush.
Yeah.
Call me crazy.
Cathartic.
Call me crazy.
Yeah, I think it'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
so yeah, that's that question answered.
Yeah, Lance was at fault, sure. Should he lose his seat because of this specific crash? Not even close. Did Ricardo also overreact? Yes.
Yes.
It was kind of a weird situation. And Lance also couldn't see that Piastri was stopped in front of Ricardo. So to be fair to Lance, he didn't really know what was going on.
No.
So yeah.
And then to be honest, what if Lance did stop and then Lance got rear-ended?
Yeah, I mean, there's a good chance.
They were getting, Ricardo was so close. There had to have been inches between his front wing and Piastri's back diffuser.
Yep. Yeah.
Inches.
Yeah. So the odds of, even Russell probably hitting Lance in that situation, who knows?
Yeah.
It was essentially a racing incident. Lance did deserve the penalty he got for it, but
yeah,
Ricardo overreacted. Lance did overreact, but also couldn't see the full picture, to be fair to him.
Yeah, and I think if you want to have a conversation about people having seats in F1, there's about 5 people I could have a conversation about right now.
Oh yeah, exactly. So that was just silly of Ricardo to even get at.
So we'll leave it to the people in charge. That's what we'll do.
So I'm coming in defense here of Lance,
of our boy.
And
I hope to one day sit and watch the Canadian Grand Prix in the Lance Stroll grandstand.
Oh, that would be awesome. I'd be happy about that.
And I'd like for this to possibly be a Lance Stroll grandstand at some point. Because if he sits here, that makes this a Lance Stroll grandstand.
Yeah.
I don't have to license it or anything, but
no, we can maybe trademark it down the
maybe
road.
pull a permit.
Yeah.
But
well, we can ask him. Maybe he'll give us some rights to put a Lance Stroll logo right here.
Sweet.
That'd be cool.
We're gonna make him sit on the crash. We both have our well-worn in spots. He just has to sit in the middle.
It's the only spot available, really.
I don't know what to tell you.
We didn't really plan the studio for guests, honestly.
Yeah.
Maybe if we get multiple camera angles or something.
Maybe.
Whoa. If we own multiple cameras at some point.
Yeah. And then I'll just have a touchpad where I just have to select what camera.
Yeah.
We'll just make it the most rudimentary, brutal system possible.
Quick switch to camera 2.
Yeah, and then I stop paying attention, and it's just zoomed in on your face for a while, and you're not saying anything. Anyway.
See, this is why we need a producer.
We need a producer.
Terry says he's on board.
Well,
and
I don't know. I don't know what you'd be producing.
Look, he could have looked up the Gunther Steiner thing that we were trying to remember, and then we could have just moved on.
True.
And he could have looked that up while we
True.
moved
And
on.
if he didn't do it quick enough, I'd be able to berate him, so that would make me feel better.
It's
yeah.
awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. This should work.
He expects no pay.
I'm kidding.
We can't pay him.
We can't.
So good.
And I wouldn't if I could.
Yeah.
But anyhow, those are our fan questions.
I was gonna ask him to come along this week, but I kind of forgot because this one was kind of messed up.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause,
Well,
this
sorry.
guy had a birthday.
Maybe
Ugh,
next time. I did have a birthday.
birthday.
Got a McLaren shirt.
Yeah.
It has a bunch of legendary McLaren cars on the back.
You also can't
Pretty
quite
cool.
see it in the camera, but he also missed one of the stickers for the size that it is, and it's right here on
No.
his shoulder.
No. Triple XL. Oh, no.
There's a nice
Oh,
little
no. How
L,
embarrassing.
L sitting there.
Shut it down. Shut down the podcast. This is enough. I've had enough. Pull out a mic, even though I have a mic in my hand.
Yeah.
Anyways, the race, the
race.
weekend.
Well, there's quite a few news items that have come up that I feel like we should tackle real quick. One of them,
What I'm thinking?
well, I was thinking that you're probably thinking what I'm thinking, and if you're not, I'm going to be a bit surprised.
Adrian Newey.
Okay, well, that was not what I was thinking, but
He's a
that
bit
is a fresh
surprised.
one.
I'm surprised that that's not the first thing he wants to talk about.
Well, there's some colorful news that I wanted to talk about.
Okay, colorful.
But we'll start with Adrian Newey because
All right.
this is a big ticket item.
Massive.
It has come out from Sky Sports. That's a
Yep.
pretty reliable source. That Adrian Newey plans to terminate his relationship with Red Bull. We do not know at this point if he's just planning on retiring or if he's planning on going to another team. But this opens the door for a lot of teams to get the guy that is making the fastest cars by a long shot right now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been a couple big rumors circulating around this. One has consistently been that he's going to Ferrari, which this guy wants.
Please.
The other tidbit of information that's been circulating is that Aston Martin has paid quite a bit of money or offered him quite a large sum of money to join them.
Please.
We
please.
don't know
I would take either.
what he'll do, but I would be pumped about both these options for
If
sure.
he goes to Aston Martin, I'm getting an Aston Martin hat.
Oh,
I'm not
wish I had
I'm not
one.
switching teams. I'm not switching teams, but it'll be 50-50 between Ferrari and Aston Martin.
I'm genuinely ashamed I don't have an Aston Martin hat, honestly.
Kind of hard to find.
Kinda.
Even
yeah.
though my cousin got a free one
Oh, really?
at the
At the
Canadian
Lance
GP in the
Stroll
Lance Stroll grandstands.
grandstand?
Yes.
Oh, crap.
They got free hats.
I want the Lance Stroll grandstand hat.
They said thanks, Lance Stroll. I like to think he personally paid for all of them.
I'd like to think he personally handed them out during the race.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd
He's
like to think
Santa
that.
Claus just hucking hats from his car.
he cruises past. He's just playing in the.
They're all landing within the track limits.
He's
Like
got.
people can't get them.
He's got a bundle of 100 hats just shoved between his legs in the car.
He's like reaching down. He's driving up like this. He's like reaching down. One gets stuck under his pedal. He
the car,
crashes.
he can't like upshift or downshift because he's
Yeah.
trying to reach the stupid hats underneath him. I gotta grab one of these quick.
I always hated this Halo. You can't throw hats out of it.
It was so much better when I could toss hats out of my car during the race.
Yeah. So,
That's cool.
anyways, either way,
I would be
Adrian
stoked.
Newey is fairly old.
He is quite
It'd be
old.
completely reasonable for him to retire.
He
and-
looks rough too. I'm not gonna lie. You see that guy? Like honestly, man.
It looks like he's been in F1 since the 90s, which is completely fair.
Yeah.
He's the longest running person in F1, I think.
Yeah, probably. I would
Other
think
than like
so.
Bernie Ecclestone, and that man literally looks like a zombie,
Yeah.
a ghoul, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. But Adrian Newey does. He's not always looking the
Pretty
best.
sure we looked it up. He's in his 60s, but he looks
Um,
older.
Part of
It's,
this.
the F1 life is tough. We're not saying that
It's
bad.
tough stuff. But part of this news as well,
Yeah.
which is another little tidbit that came out, is that he was spotted at an airport near Maranello.
No.
He was.
Are you serious?
He was. That yeah. There was some snapshots taken of him in Italy
Come to Ferrari.
between
come
the
to
races
Ferrari,
that were going on.
Come to Ferrari.
So
That'd be
obviously it
bonkers.
seems like he might still be in negotiations with some teams. So
die
it
and go
seems
to heaven.
promising that he's not retiring, I'd say.
Oh.
But we don't know for sure. He could retire. He could. He is quite old. He could retire, but there has been sightings of him here and there moving about. And
My heart's fluttering. It's almost terrifying.
let's translate this into some other news as well, because I think they could go hand in hand. Ferrari has recently gotten a big cash influx from a new major title
Right.
sponsor, Hewlett Packard.
I was hoping to not talk about
HP
this.
printers. And they sometimes make laptops too.
The
but
printers only. The printer section of HP.
He's sponsored they're sponsored only by the printer section of HP.
Their livery is gonna start off like very colorful and then fade out because it'll run out of toner. and it'll be a discontinued cartridge, so you won't be able to find it anywhere.
They're gonna have just a monochrome black and white livery because it
with a bit of pink because you're running out of black as well.
Or
And the cartridges are $140.
They'll do like only magenta because it ran out of the yellow and cyan cartridges.
Yeah.
That'd be good. That'd be really funny. I'd love that. But yeah, so Ferrari, big cash influx. Could they now afford to pick up a certain Adrian Newey, maybe?
I really, really dislike title sponsors. I'm gonna be honest.
I do too. I'm really hoping this one takes a bit of a back seat.
Because no, it's on Instagram.
no,
It's Scuderia Ferrari HP.
I know, but Red Bull is the same deal with Oracle technically.
Yeah, it's Oracle, Red
but
Bull.
you never hear them actually, like, nobody ever says
True.
Oracle.
It's true.
So I'm hoping it'll be closer to that, where it's like, yes, they're technically a title sponsor, but people don't they're just gonna call them Ferrari, right?
Yeah.
I would assume so.
I miss the days when it wasn't Oracle Red Bull. I miss when it was just Red Bull. They had bigger Red Bull logos on.
Yeah.
Now it's always big Oracle.
I know.
I get it. You're the computer gods of the world, but
that
leave me
blue
alone.
looks horrible against the Ferrari red. I have to say.
Which
Usually
blue? HP blue?
HP's blue. It looks so bad against the Ferrari red.
It better not.
I'm hoping
just make it white.
there is a modern version
white.
of the logo which is like has no blue on it and it's just like white HP. I hope they do that because Ferrari has been pretty good about having sponsors that actually look genuinely pretty good on the car.
Yes.
Like Shell looks great.
Yep.
Their colors match.
Yep.
Snapdragon, like Qualcomm, actually looks pretty good too, honestly. Their colors also match Ferrari's colors. So like Ferrari generally, and Ray-Ban is just Ray-Ban, so it's kind of just white, but it works. So hopefully it looks fine.
Hopefully.
But also, speaking of title sponsors, I thought this was quite funny. I don't know if you really noticed this during the race. The commentators were told off by Visa Cash App RB because they had just been calling it RB. And they actually had to correct themselves during the race. And they said, we actually have been told that we need to call it V-Carb and not just RB.
Wow.
So they
I will not.
They were so stingy about it that they were like, you have to call us V-Carb. You cannot keep calling us
just
RB.
A couple of nerds. We're title sponsors. You have to say our name.
So
that's all that Visa and Cash App is to me is nerds.
I was shocked by
if
that.
you will.
I was shocked by that.
That is crazy.
I could not believe it.
Because they call Sauber, or they call Steak Sauber.
They do, yeah. They do. They have been calling that Sauber.
Probably because Steak doesn't have a license to really operate anywhere.
Well, yeah.
Other than India. I'm pretty sure it's Indian.
Steak was still on the uniforms in China, but a lot of the other companies had to get rid of cryptocurrency sponsors and any financial sponsors.
That's why Red Bull had a nice looking rear wing.
It is, yeah.
They
had to
Red
get
Bull
rid of,
across the rear wing. I hate Bybit.
Yeah.
I hate these crypto things.
I hate them
all
too.
Their logos suck.
Yep. And Williams had to get rid of, I think it was Kraken is their cryptocurrency one.
Ugh.
I think MoneyGram for Haas is technically cryptocurrency related or something.
No, that's like we had this conversation already. You might be right, but you can send money with MoneyGram too.
Yeah, Haas does have an actual cryptocurrency one as well, though. I forget which sponsor it is, but they did have.
I don't know. Show me one cryptocurrency company that has a nice looking logo.
They're all ugly logos.
Show me one.
They're all ugly logos.
Also, show me one cryptocurrency company that doesn't commit massive amounts of fraud or bribery. That's all.
I know.
That's all I'm saying.
I also don't like cryptocurrencies at all.
I don't
and I
either.
hate cryptocurrency
Sorry,
companies.
sorry guys, if you're big crypto bros,
Yeah.
we're not. And you know what? You can still listen.
Yeah,
We're
feel
not going to
free.
bash cryptocurrencies every week.
No.
We could open a new segment.
Yeah,
How
I hate
cryptocurrency is failing now.
cryptocurrencies. Like, just
The halving is coming. Who cares? Anyways,
yeah.
so that was some of the news the Adrian Newey news was like today.
The Adrian Newey news is
Today is
very
Wednesday.
very
It'll be
current.
posted
Very
whenever,
current.
but
And yeah, we talked about Gunther Steiner apparently trying
then-
to get back into F1 somehow.
The other thing was they showed up, and I couldn't get exact details on this, but there was somewhat of an understanding that the Shanghai track had been resurfaced.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it means that they lay new asphalt on top of it, which makes it very smooth but not as grippy. So it's an
Yes.
interesting challenge for Pirelli and the teams to react to that.
Yeah.
But they got there, and it actually was just painted.
That seems to be the case.
They painted the road darker
Yep.
than its natural asphalt color.
Yeah. Which made it a bit slippery.
And, yes, because paint is slippery. And
Yeah.
then it wore off in the racing line, so you could totally see
Yep. Yeah.
how it actually looked, which is just normal track pavement. And then you'd see the little painted spot, like line on the side that
Yeah.
looked like new pavement. That
And
was strange.
as we briefly brought up earlier too, it seems like they may have coated the grass in something as well.
In green paint as well.
Because the grass kept catching fire spontaneously, it seems.
Yes.
And this
on the
doesn't
track
happen in other racetracks ever.
with live grass.
Yeah. Like,
Live grass doesn't burn that easily. It's got to be fairly dry.
yeah, usually
So-
it's pretty damp.
And there is a
And
there
there
was a
was
still
rain.
picture. We won't even try finding it, but there was a still picture of, I think Hamilton or Russell went off. Somebody went off and came back on,
Yeah.
and there's green plumes of dust like billowing over the car. Which grass itself is green, but the dust that is created when you hit grass is not green.
Yes.
So it looks like they painted the grass because it was dead.
Yep. Yeah.
So it looks like the Shanghai track might be in a bit of disarray.
I'd say a little bit.
And then they covered, I want to say, half the grandstands, and there were no spectators in them.
Yeah, we did mention that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lack of spectators in the grandstands.
Strange. But you know
It
what?
was
The
an odd
economy's
one.
tough.
Yeah.
It hits everybody differently.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah.
Some odd things from China. Before we launch into both the qualifying sprint, all of that.
Yes.
Do
do
we
you
want
got?
to talk about the rumors surrounding the new regulations that have been circulating?
What do you know about it?
So all I know so
I know
far,
you are, but what am I?
all I know so far is that the word flying around is that the new cars that are supposed to be arriving in the coming years,
In 2026.
in 2026, yes, are basically impossible to control.
Yes.
And to control them, you have to drive them slower than an F2 car.
Yes. So that's what I knew about them too. I've gotten more information on them now.
Let's hear it.
The 2026 cars, in the way that it's looking like now, it could still change. Hopefully it does still change. The power breakdown between the engine and the hybrid system would be a 50-50 split. So what that means is at points in the track, the engine will have to work overtime as more of a generator than a powertrain
Yep.
to charge up the battery.
Yeah.
Adrian Newey himself said, as an example, because Adrian Newey's not pumped about these regulations.
It doesn't sound like
actually.
anybody is.
No, nobody is. I haven't seen anybody be excited for it. He said, as an example, we may have to run the cars at wide open throttle around the Monaco hairpin to charge up the battery for the next section.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Which is weird and lame. I'm going to go ahead and say it's very, very lame.
It doesn't sound great.
I don't like. Look, maybe I'll torch the EV audience, but that's probably not what we have anyways. I don't like electric racing.
I don't like it either.
I don't like it at all. Part of the reason that a race car is a race car is that it doesn't have to follow any rules or very limited amounts of rules.
Yep.
If you want to be a little more fuel efficient and not allow refueling, okay, cool. That's been fine. You can still have good racing and cool engines.
Yep.
But if you want to take away the raw engine noise, if you want to take away that entire mechanical experience and basically neuter it down,
Yeah,
50% and presumably in the future more, you might lose me.
yeah, and honestly, the different formats of electric racing that I've seen a little bit of Formula E.
Yeah.
I've watched a few like clips and segments from fully electric rally racing.
Yeah, like Rallycross. Nitro Rallycross is fully electric.
Yeah, and I've seen like regular rally too with fully electric
I didn't know
vehicles
that.
running.
Okay.
I don't know what like series. I think it was more a test that they did it for. But yeah, I've seen that as well. And like with all of these series, it feels very boring to watch as well.
Yeah.
There's something about how electric cars handle that forces them to drive very differently. And on top of that, the lack of having any sound, any fanfare, makes everything feel slower inherently as well when I've watched it.
Yes.
It just feels like everything is happening in slow motion when you're watching it. And like you see a car go around a corner and you're just kind of like, huh, that happened. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
It's not as
What's
because
next?
it's one of your senses is gone. You might as well be deaf.
Yeah. It does. It removes one of the senses from the equation.
And human beings are all about sensory
to be honest,
experiences.
it
That's
comes
the point.
pretty close to removing two of your senses too, because
Yeah.
it's like your smell, like the smell of cars like
Yes.
racing is distinct.
Yes.
And this will be unpopular. I'm somebody that loves the smell of a gas station and things like that. I like that sense.
It's
I'm not
nice.
gonna lie.
It's nice.
So like even that being removed, and the only thing you'd be able to smell maybe every once in a while is like some tires burning, which is not a nice smell at all.
No.
No,
there's an inherent problem with having bigger and bigger batteries. Like a battery is the equivalent battery to an engine is far too heavy to make a car nimble.
Yeah.
And race cars are entirely about being nimble.
Yeah.
So like Formula E never made sense to me. I'm going to be honest. Like again, sorry if you like Formula E, that's great for you. But I like cars that move quickly. So I would rather watch Formula 2000 than Formula E because they move quicker.
And the instant torque,
like side to side, and
the instant torque from the electric motors too. You can see it. It just makes the cars like a little bit weirder and twitchier.
Yes.
So then it's like even though they're technically fast in a straight line, like drivers have to handle them in a very slow way. It seems sometimes, like on corner exits.
It
and
feels
stuff.
like a regression.
It does. Yeah.
It feels like we're putting people back into older race cars that were heavier and kind of harder to control. And I'm all for making it more difficult to control to encourage skill.
Sure.
But what I'm not about is taking away experience.
Yeah, I agree.
So the other thing that's going on with this whole thing is like they have this active aerodynamics scenario, or this active aero package set up for the 2026 cars so that they would have front and rear DRS.
Yep.
So presumably the front flaps would flatten and then the rear would have basically two wings that would flatten as well.
Yep.
But again, in all the simulations, like I think I talked about last time on the last episode, they're just running brutally slow. They're torching the tires.
Yep.
They're running brutally slow. And Max Verstappen said, he's like, I hate the power delivery
Yeah.
of the battery engine thing. It's all very clunky. So I hope they can change course because I'm not excited for 2026 at this point.
I don't know if they'll change course or if they'll just manage to like kind of sort things out and figure out some workarounds. Who knows?
I like to, at
But
best case scenario, 2026, we're just biding our time before we can go to full synthetic race fuels
yeah,
and drop hybrid,
yeah, that would be cool.
and then show what internal combustion engines can do on a completely carbon neutral fuel.
Yeah, that would be interesting if they can manage to deliver something that is carbon neutral in
Visceral.
that way.
Well, I mean, they have it. It's just not large scale.
Yeah, yeah,
So if they can bring it up to large scale for Formula One, and then therefore, like, Formula One has always been about developing new car technologies that inevitably trickle down into
real
standard
cars.
passenger cars.
Yeah, normal vehicles.
And somewhere along the line, we just decided that electric is the future. And I say, why? Because there's many things along the lines of electric that don't make sense.
I mean, it's a challenge for a lot of countries. Anybody that lives in Canada will understand it pretty quickly.
It's brutal.
Infrastructure is a really big problem in Canada to begin with.
Battery
so,
degradation is horrible. With
yeah,
winter.
cold weather, winters makes battery degradation bad. They drain a lot faster.
How about battery technologies not being able to keep up? So people's like overall battery, like even in southern climates that are warmer,
Yeah,
you start to lose battery capacity. Wouldn't you kind of be pissed if the Honda Civic that you bought lost 50% of its gas tank capacity over
Yeah.
5 years,
yeah,
and you had to pay 17 grand to get it back to 100%?
yep.
That'd be kind of bad.
Yeah,
So-
the longevity of the battery is gets called into question. And I mean, like, again, for certain geographic areas like Canada, it's a struggle still with electric cars. Like, if I want to go camping and I only own an electric vehicle, how am I going to get to Algonquin and back? Like, where am I supposed to charge?
yeah, and
Or like, let's say I
Yeah.
want to go further. Let's say I want to like try to go up to Sleeping Giant or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, how's that supposed to work out? The infrastructure is not there, and it's expensive to put in place.
yeah,
So, like, electric cars have some inherent flaws
yes,
that something like a carbon neutral synthetic fuel would help alleviate in
Yeah.
a lot of ways.
and it's carbon neutral. So why are we even digging up resources out of the earth, polluting the living crap out of third world countries to get them,
Yep.
shipping them across the world, and then having them only last 10 years?
Yeah, if we can use these synthetic
If we
fuels.
can use like guys, we know how to make internal combustion engines. When you think about it, is it a little overcomplicated and silly? Sure. When a battery pack in one motor can do the same thing, sure, it sounds a little overcomplicated, but there's soul. Everybody talks about the V10s of 2021. Everybody remembers the first time that they heard a car that they thought sounded good. It wasn't electric. It wasn't a
Yeah.
It had an engine.
true.
There's a point of being a human that like not everything is perfect.
Yeah.
And they sell EVs as being perfect power, but it's not perfect because one of the senses is completely missing.
Yeah, and I think there's still a space for electric cars.
Sure.
I think
And
I still think
I love
they're-
commuter cars that are hybrid. I love
Yeah.
I love plug-in hybrid commuter cars. I think that's a great
Fantastic.
technology. I'm super glad that has trickled down from Formula One.
And I like if you're living in a city, generally just commuting around a city or like
Yep.
going between a couple cities kind of thing.
Yep.
Electric cars can be great for that. They
Sure.
cut down on noise pollution in cities.
Yep.
Fantastic.
They
I
cut
love
down
that.
on air
That's
pollution
great.
in cities
Yeah,
as well.
cut down
That's
on
good.
air pollution, things like that. So I think they're great. I think ultimately the best thing is just to get more public transit, but
It is definitely, but
Canada hates that.
yeah,
so-
but then why? Like back to the original point, but why does the pinnacle of car racing have to
be electric.
do that?
Yeah, it
Why?
doesn't make sense.
We still race horses.
That's true.
We still race horses.
That's true.
Nobody's asking them, like, nobody's protesting horse racing as far as I know.
I mean, somebody probably is
Probably
somewhere. I
somewhere,
wouldn't
but
doubt that.
Somebody will find an example.
I'm certain there's somebody protesting
For
horse
sure.
racing.
But it's like
So-
nobody's saying that horse racing's killing the world. And they ship these horses all over the earth and feed them hay, which takes a lot of carbon to actually, like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's a strong argument for farming being very bad for the environment as well, just in
It's
general
true.
with like methane
Well,
gases
humans are
and
just terrible for the environment, so
yeah,
anything
we
that
are.
props
Yeah.
up our survival is bad.
Yeah.
Like neon signs and podcast equipment. But
I don't think
anyways,
that's a real
we've
neon
gone
sign
no,
anyways.
definitely not. It's LED. We've gone a little bit into the weeds here.
Yeah. We're getting off track.
The
Oh, boy.
2026 regulations look a little
Disaster.
tough. Let's hope they can draw it back.
Yeah, they're
Anytime,
looking rough.
I'm just praying that they asked for a survey on 2026 regulations.
Yeah.
And I'll be like V8, V10 minimum.
Yeah.
Hybrid, liminal / optional.
I mean, I'm fine with some amount of hybrid system existing in the car. It's interesting. So you have rally racing getting rid of hybrid altogether, which I think we did mention before as well.
Yeah, and Extreme E, which was an off-road racing thing, went from fully electric to now hydrogen electric, which makes more sense.
Yeah, hydrogen is a really interesting technology that
use
has
hydrogen
a lot
to
of promise.
create electricity. I'm still not watching Extreme H. It's called Extreme H now for Extreme Hydrogen. I'm still not watching it. I'm sorry.
Still, hydrogen allows for the use of existing infrastructure.
It does.
And is also zero emissions.
It is.
Don't know why more companies. It's really only Toyota that put a lot of investment into hydrogen research, and a lot of other companies were just like, "Nah, we're not doing that."
Yeah.
I feel like they just felt like electric was easier, so they just didn't care. But it's a shame because hydrogen is actually a really promising alternative that does away with some of the issues that electric has as well.
It truly does.
But oh well.
Anyhow.
Oh well. You know.
Where were we? The weekend.
Yeah, time to actually get to the race.
Yeah, free practice. I didn't watch it.
Yeah, free practice 1. Did not watch it. You
But
don't
that was
much
when
from it.
the track started on fire, wasn't it?
That's the first time the track started on fire.
Yes, right.
There was multiple times. So yes, that was the first time the track caught on fire. But yeah, in free practice, I mean, you can never learn a ton from it because different teams are always running different practice programs. It's a shame. Like, I think practice is important, but it's not a great spectator item, I guess.
Yeah.
To watch. It doesn't tell the viewer much information, and you're just kind of watching cars go around a track for like no particular reason at that point. So no, didn't watch practice.
Nope.
But sprint qualifying.
You watched sprint qualifying?
I watched sprint qualifying was good.
Yeah.
It was good because we had wet weather conditions in sprint qualifying.
That's right.
So we had a bit of shakeups going on for sprint qualifying. Did you happen to write down the sprint starting grid anywhere?
1, 2. I thought got the first 5.
Yeah, that's what we're looking for.
So Lando Norris got the sprint pole.
Yep. Thanks to these wet weather conditions.
Yep.
That guy was setting faster laps than anybody. He just seemed to understand how the car was working in wet conditions.
It was crazy.
Caught a couple lap times deleted, and in fact his pole position lap time was a lap that got deleted and then reinstated, which I've never seen before.
Because McLaren argued well enough that it slowed him down.
Yes, they argued that he didn't gain an advantage from going off track. I've seen plenty of lap times get deleted
for less
as well
that.
For people that certainly didn't gain an advantage and still left the track.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I totally agree with that.
But if they're
whatever.
rating it to get, a non-Verstappen pole position, then maybe I'm all right with that. I mean, shake it up.
It's still exciting. It's good. But yeah, so who was second there?
Second was Hamilton.
Yep.
Third was Alonso.
So actually, we wouldn't have had a Hamilton pole anyways. I would have been pretty pumped to actually see Hamilton on pole there.
It would have been exciting.
Not that it mattered.
Not that it mattered. Verstappen was 4th. Perez was 5th. And then beyond that, to be honest, I didn't write it down, and it wasn't that consequential.
Yeah, it wasn't very relevant. I think it was relevant. It was
Sainz,
the Ferraris
Sainz, Leclerc, Piastri, maybe.
Yeah, it was something like that.
But
it was kind of who you'd sort of expect to fall into the next categories. I think Haas managed to get a car into the, or it was Bottas that was actually in the top 10 as well for the sprint.
I think he was.
I think so. Good for him. We saw really good performances from him in qualifying this weekend, and I mean, Bottas seemed like he was pretty dialed in on this track.
And the race, too. It did. Yeah. But we'll get to that.
But he seemed like he was running well.
Yep.
But yeah, the race itself,
Sprint race
yes.
started. Lando Norris tried to keep the first around the outside and just went in way too hot. Had to go off track and tumbled down to 7th right
Yep.
in the first corner.
Yeah, he lost a ton of positions. Hamilton took first
Took the
place
lead.
around the first corner, and Alonso second
Yep.
to kind of have things out. And then Verstappen, that promoted him up to third.
Yep.
And then we had Verstappen do what we all expected him to do, and he just kind of cruised past everybody.
Yep.
Until he eventually got in first place, where he then stayed in first place
and he won the
proceeded
race.
to win the sprint race.
But we're not done.
There's a lot more going on.
Way more.
Because we had Alonso in this race.
We did.
And oh my goodness.
Thank goodness for Alonso.
Alonso sitting in third place did an awful lot in that sprint race.
He did.
He managed to keep the Ferrari of Sainz behind him for a long amount of time. Like, we are talking a lot of laps here where Sainz was shoehorned behind Alonso.
Yeah, and Leclerc was on him, and Perez was behind him. I think Perez lost a bunch of places.
Perez did lose some places, yeah. And then tumbled backwards. So yeah, I don't.
But yeah, it went Alonso, Sainz,
but...
Leclerc, Perez, and that train was very tight. And Alonso was holding off Sainz for, like, I want to say close to.
It must
10
have been
laps.
10. Yeah, I was gonna say at least 10 laps. And
it was crazy.
Eventually, Sainz eked his way past, but oh my goodness, Alonso was not having any of it. That guy fought so hard to keep that third place.
He did. He stayed somewhat alongside, and then the big moment, did a big lunge down the inside.
Yep.
Him and Sainz came together just slightly.
Yep, just barely.
Just barely. It handed Alonso a puncture.
Yep. Yeah, so he had to pit.
And then I think it broke a bit of carbon off of Carlos's car, but he wasn't in that bad of shape.
Arguably, might have had a
maybe
hand in
slightly.
Leclerc passing him like a lap or two later.
While they were fighting, Perez got through.
Yeah.
And then effectively that puncture ruined Alonso's race. He had to pit in a sprint race, change his tires, and was, I believe, last.
Yeah, he came very far down the order.
Yeah.
So he didn't get any points from the sprint race.
Then after that, Leclerc smelt blood in the water for passing Sainz.
Yep.
And then those two fought for 3 laps?
I'd say like 2.
2?
Yeah,
2 laps?
more like 2.
And that got a little scrappy.
Yeah, to the point where Leclerc was quite mad about that, actually, because Sainz was fighting Leclerc relatively hard.
As Leclerc said, he's fighting me harder than anybody else.
Yeah, which I don't think was fair, because Sainz did fight
really.
Alonso quite hard, but Alonso was also kind of driving like a maniac, which he then got. He got a post-race 10-second penalty for.
Unbelievable.
For trying to pass Sainz.
Unbelievable.
On a corner where it's a risky move, but like it was a fair play.
He was still alongside, and he lunged to get ahead by the apex.
Yeah, he was still alongside.
And I believe he was.
I think he was.
It was a racing incident.
And it seems like the FIA has it in for Alonso lately, honestly. They just love giving that guy penalties for racing.
It made me furious. And it ruined Alonso's race.
It did, yeah.
He finished far outside the points.
He did.
And was not able to do anything with it. So it's like the damage had been done. Why do you need to apply a 10-second penalty to be like, you shouldn't race hard?
Yeah.
So that was very disappointing.
It was disappointing. It's just Russell all over again.
That was the entire race.
Yeah.
That's that section of the sprint where Sainz was chasing Alonso and he was playing games with him for almost 10 laps straight, and then they were just going hand to hand.
That's what made that race exciting.
Yes.
And then they're just going to dish out a penalty.
That was the highlight of the entire weekend. I'm going to be completely honest. That was the best part of the weekend. If you watch anything out of this weekend, you should basically watch the sprint race.
Yeah, the sprint race was great. It was honestly great because of Alonso's driving and everything.
And then, Sainz and Leclerc they bumped wheels a little bit, which was close to being a big problem. But Leclerc got past Sainz. He was quite disappointed with
Sainz's
having to fight
defense,
so hard.
yeah. Especially since Sainz had picked up some damage from his fight with Alonso.
Yeah.
So, like, it made sense for Sainz to just cede that position to Leclerc.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a little silly that Sainz did what he did. And the McLarens were kind of just sitting at the back the whole time. They didn't do too much that
they
race.
couldn't. And Max,
Lando couldn't really make up the positions they had lost.
No, which was too bad.
Yeah.
Which kind of proves like he was on pole, but the car wasn't ready to actually compete for a sprint win.
Yeah, it wasn't set up well enough for the race.
Yeah.
But this is the first year where teams were allowed to make changes to the car after the sprint race.
Yes.
So,
which is a great move.
It's a great move.
That is our opinion.
I think that's a really good change. It makes it a bit more exciting because we did actually have a bit of a shakeup in the race itself, in the fact that when we got around to qualifying for the main race.
Sorry, we should say our results. Verstappen won.
Yep.
Lewis Hamilton did hold on a second,
He did
which
get
was
second,
a fantastic drive on his end.
And for some reason went on to change his car setup despite managing to get second in the sprint.
Yeah, I don't know. And then Perez got third. I'm pretty sure Leclerc was right behind him.
Yeah,
and then,
correct.
Yeah, I can't remember from there back, but the points get pretty dismal.
Yeah, they're small. So
you only get points up to like down to 8th place in a sprint race. So
yeah. But
anyways, into the actual race.
Yeah, after the sprint race, McLaren made some setup changes and somehow managed to come out on top of the Ferraris in a track where they were pretty dismal about their chances. And both McLarens were faster than the Ferraris, which was pretty staggering. Alonso somehow still just right up there.
Yeah, Alonso qualified third.
Yeah, he qualified third again.
I mean, small side, like the way that Alonso can just make things happen. He said it himself in there's only one podcast that he's ever appeared in.
Yeah.
Which was the High Performance Podcast, and I recommend it highly because you get to understand more about a guy who doesn't exactly love media attention or showing off his life.
It's true.
He said effectively that he's not outright the fastest driver, but he fully believes that he can beat anyone. And they were like, what do you mean by that? And he's like, Schumacher was faster than me. Hamilton was faster than me.
Yeah.
These guys were faster than me. But he's like, but when you put us both on track, and I can't remember if he said the same car or not, but he said, when you put us both on track, I will find a way to win more.
Yeah, he's determined.
And I completely believe that. It's unbelievable.
He's determined
to be seen in Aston Martin in third, especially like even if you average even if you average Alonso's qualifying and Stroll's qualifying, you're only getting like 9th.
Yeah.
Or 7th or 8th.
Yeah.
So a middling driver would only be able to do that. He's starting in the podium places for races.
What's shocking me about it too is like when Stroll was driving against Vettel, it was a lot closer. Vettel still beat out Stroll, but like it was a lot closer.
It was.
Whereas the differential between Stroll and Alonso has been huge.
Yes.
Like Stroll qualified 11th and Alonso is sitting there in third.
Again.
And comfortably in third too. It's not like it was just a one-off lap. He's doing it over and over again.
Yes.
So like there's something going on where he's so much more adaptable to whatever car he's in. And it was funny too because when he was talking about Lance recently, because Alonso came out in an interview and he was like, Lance is crucial for this team. He's like, Lance is way more helpful in development than I am. Because Alonso was like, I just hop in, I ignore the problems, and I just drive the car to the best that the car can be driven. Whereas Lance is more sensitive to like the issues that the car actually has.
Yeah.
But like Alonso just hops in and drives. Like nothing stops that guy.
And pulls off stuff that I don't think anybody else on the grid could do.
I agree.
Honestly,
I agree.
It makes me believe he's the best driver on the grid in a sense.
I would say so,
And
other than maybe Verstappen.
the more that this happens, the more I just have to believe it. Yeah, like I could see a similar thing coming from Verstappen.
Yeah, because Verstappen's just like so consistent that
Yeah.
I have to believe that he would be able to pull something like that off in another
Yes.
car.
Yeah.
Um, Plus Verstappen just like kind of lives and breathes racing in a way that I
And
don't think
driving.
all the other drivers
Yeah.
do. Because like even when he's not like racing in F1, he's racing in sim racing.
Like
He's
high level sim racing. Too.
yeah, like
Like
top tier sim
yeah,
racing and
like
stuff.
full on endurance sim racing
Yep.
with a team of other drivers
Yeah.
and winning constantly.
So I'd assume Verstappen
Probably.
has the same level of
Probably.
adaptability.
Yeah.
Alonso also competed and won in other series that
Yep.
he's participated in as
And
well.
in his time off in the winter, he owns a GT3 car that he just drives.
Yeah, like I think
for fun.
Alonso's on that same level where he just loves driving that much,
Yep.
right? I don't see that from Hamilton as much.
I don't
Hamilton's
see that
got a
from,
lot of other ventures that he's
Yeah.
always kind of taken part in. Even Leclerc, like
Yeah.
Leclerc's got other interests, whereas like guys like Hamilton or not Hamilton, sorry, Verstappen and Alonso, like
Are drivers.
they just drive.
Yeah.
I don't know what else those
It's
guys
so
do.
cool. It's so cool. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Anyhow, Alonso qualified third. Verstappen was pole for the
Yep.
full race.
Yep.
And Perez was second. No, wait, Norris.
Yeah.
Sorry, I should have written this down.
Wait, was he?
Hold on.
Oh my goodness, this is terrible. Sorry.
Brutal.
Oh my goodness.
Brutal.
Look at this.
Pause the program.
Yeah, we can put a cut in. I'll cut this out.
F1 China
Uh,
qualifying. This'll be cut out. Okay. Resume. Verstappen was pole position. Perez was second. Alonso was third. Then you had Norris and Piastri in fourth and fifth. Then you had Leclerc in sixth. Sainz seventh.
Yep.
Russell, Hulkenberg, Bottas. So Bottas was in the top 10 for the full race.
Yep.
It was looking very promising.
Yeah. And Hulkenberg is consistently qualifying really well.
It'd be nice to see Hulkenberg in a better car.
I agree.
Basically, the best car he's ever been in the modern era was the Renault, but it wasn't that great.
It was not that great.
So it'd be nice to see him in something that could compete for mid to higher, like points finishes, like above seventh and above.
Somehow
nice.
Haas is like one of the top of the midfield right now, but like
literally just because of the two drivers that they have forcing it.
Yeah,
which is amazing. It's unbelievable that they score any points at all.
Plus, the midfield right now is people fighting over literally 1 point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like there's still 3 teams that have 0 points.
Yes.
In the championship right now.
That was the other news item. Was they're thinking of adding points down to 12th place.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
I think because of this.
I think so. Yeah.
It's such a bad dry spell.
The golf, like we mentioned it last time, the gap between the teams that are in that top 10,
top 5, the top 5 teams to the bottom 5 teams is crazy.
It's huge. There's a world of difference between the two of them.
It's brutal.
Except Lance. Sorry, Lance. But please come on the podcast.
But understandable. Sometimes things happen. But anyway,
sometimes things happen.
That was the starting grid. The race got on, and Alonso passed Perez into turn 1 right away.
Yeah.
For second place.
Yeah.
Again, like, just such a great driver.
Phenomenal. Obviously, that's not really a position that he could hang on to.
No.
Understandably, nobody can really compete with the Red Bull's cars right now.
But it took some time for Perez to catch him.
It took a few laps, and like quite a few laps actually. It was pretty surprising how long it took Perez. When you had Verstappen literally driving a second a lap faster than Perez for pretty well the entire race.
Yeah.
And then Verstappen at the end of the race was just doing drifts around corners for fun.
Yes.
And telling his race engineer, "Hey, check this out."
Yeah.
So whereas it seems like Perez is actually having to pay attention to his driving, which
he's paying a lot of attention, too much attention to his driving.
think he still deserves to lose his seat. I saw people debating this in a comment section the other day, and everybody was like, "He's second in the championship. Why should he lose his seat?" And it's
Put
like,
anybody else in the Red Bull.
yeah, like
They'll be second in the championship too.
yeah, put anybody in there. Like Perez isn't doing anything to make that happen. He just happens to be in the fastest car by a long shot,
And has not crashed.
and hasn't crashed. Like he's not doing the team any favors.
No.
Why would he get another 2-year contract? Why?
I don't know.
It's crazy. I don't know. Whatever.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
Alonso did hold him off for a while, though. Perez eventually got past, and they cruised to a 1-2 victory.
Yep. Perez or Leclerc made his way up.
Yep.
Through the ranks as well.
Yep, he did. He did manage to cruise past some people.
And then
good race from him.
We already kind of covered it, but Bottas, unfortunately, I mean, the race was looking good for him.
It was looking really good.
It was looking great. His engine just died.
Blew up. It blew up.
So then there was a full safety car because I counted, they had 12 marshals trying to move that car.
Yeah, they couldn't move
which
the
is
car.
kind of funny. They were like
like shoveling it back and forth. It was like, what is going on?
I don't think they put it in neutral or something.
No, they didn't put it in neutral. It was kind of sad to watch.
It was tough, but like, no, it's not. It's no offense to them. I would love to marshal an F1 race, and I'm sure I would be one of the 12 guys that's like,
yeah. I'm sure it's a lot of pressure. It's not trying to
go fast.
Yeah. But it was funny to watch.
Kind of scary hopping onto a live racetrack.
It's true, and they took a while to actually like safety car that as well. Yes. It was a virtual safety car for a while, and people were moving quick.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know why that took so long. Usually it's pretty cut and dry. If a car is stopped on the track, it's going to be a safety car.
Exactly. And then there was the restart where Stroll hit Ricciardo, who hit Piastri.
Well, before I just want to comment as well on Red Bull because we were talking about they got one too. But they were the team itself was flawless.
They're shoving it. So I almost said this and then I didn't. I think it was last week. I'm not even kidding. I almost said I wish we had more double stacked pit stops.
Oh, well, we got them.
And then I didn't.
Multiple.
I didn't because I thought and I went double stack is when you know that you can dominate so much that you can take on risk from pitting both your drivers one after the other.
Yep.
And you can trust the mechanics and you're showing off how good your mechanics are.
Oh, and Red Bull did that.
Red Bull did that.
No reason to do this and decided to double stack and pit both cars at the exact same time.
So Verstappen comes in, pits, and perfectly timed when he leaves the pit box, Perez comes in, stops, pits, leaves.
1.9 seconds.
Both of them were 2 seconds.
Yeah, it was 2 seconds and 1.9 seconds. And then they had a 2.1 second and another like 1.9 second.
Both of them were average 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Stops.
So they averaged 2 seconds, which is incredibly fast.
We're there. Mercedes did it back in the Lewis Hamilton era.
Yep.
They were basically the only ones who did it ever because nobody else can actually take that risk.
Yep.
And now Red Bull is doing it. So I will say we have officially entered an unnecessarily strong level of dominance.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
When the double stack pit stops come out, and they did 2 sets.
Yeah, they
did it twice in one race.
Yeah,
I don't think Mercedes ever did that.
Nope. They double stacked both cars twice.
That's depressing. But Adrian Newey's probably leaving, so it'll be fine.
We'll see.
It'll be fine.
They still have the car.
But Newey's gonna go to Ferrari. They're gonna build the SF25 or whatever. And it's just going to be crazy. And then Newey's going to take over F1 completely. And then he's going to make V10s back. Anyways, I'm off topic. Several things could happen that would be great.
Yeah.
But anyways.
But ridiculous dominance from Red Bull this race. It was kind of sad in a way, but impressive at the same time.
And
they were flawless from start to finish.
Yeah, I wanted to make a note. Magnussen hit Tsunoda and took him out of the race.
Yeah, that's right.
For really no good reason at all.
Yeah, that was just a normal corner.
He just drifted wide and didn't bring it back in and just hit Tsunoda's rear end, blew his tire, made him retire.
There were a lot of DNFs in this race.
There was 3?
Yeah, 3 or 4.
Yeah, Ricciardo, Tsunoda. So both V-carbs were out, and then Bottas as well.
Yep.
And then, there was a ton of penalties
Yeah.
The penalty
Ton of
apocalypse.
penalties
Sargent got a 10-second penalty for
passing under
passing.
the safety car.
That was BS.
That was BS.
Hulkenberg was coming out of the pits, and there's a line. There's a horizontal line across the track where you officially enter
The track,
the
and
track
then you cannot
space.
pass. But they hit that line at pretty well the exact same time. Like,
And we should say Sargent is on the racetrack at full clip.
yeah, he's going full speed down
Hulkenberg
the
is
straight.
coming out of the pits. There is no way that Sargent knows that Hulkenberg is even there.
Yeah.
Let alone that he's
And-
passing him. Because you are allowed to pass if the car is in the pits.
Hulkenberg must have reached that line like by a few centimeters more
When
than
they showed
Sargent.
the replay, I could not see the difference.
I could not tell.
So they
and-
had to go to the and the commentators said it too. They said they had to go to the transponders and say that. But a
It's
10
so
second
unfair.
penalty?
That's so harsh. That should have been 5 seconds at most. And I don't even think it should have been a penalty.
Shouldn't have been a penalty.
That
They were,
is
I'm going to
harsh.
say right now, both of their spoilers were touching the paint of the white line at the same time.
Yeah.
That's how close it was.
Yeah. Ridiculous. Shouldn't have been a penalty.
Unbelievable.
Shouldn't have been a penalty. One of the
Stroll-
penalties we already covered.
Stroll got a 10-second penalty.
Yep, 10-second
Is what it
penalty.
is. Racing incident, but I don't know.
Uh,
It's fair for them to
yeah.
penalize.
Slightly more justified of a penalty, but like
Yeah.
I think you could have taken it or left it.
Yeah.
It was a weird situation.
It's probably
yeah.
just to make V-Carb
Yeah.
happy. Then you had a 10-second penalty for Magnussen for hitting Sonoda.
Yep. Causing a collision.
And then Stroll actually served that penalty in the race.
He did. He went
Yeah.
and pitted and served it in the race.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other main thing from the race after penalties that I want to talk about
Yep.
is Alonso's strategy compared to everybody else.
Oh my gosh.
There was a second safety car where
Yeah.
everybody pitted for hard tires, and everybody, you could tell they all planned to not pit again. They were just going to stay out on the hard tires for the rest of the race. And Alonso, for some reason, went for soft tires, which had no chance of lasting the rest of the race, which meant that he would have to pit again, and he was the only one that did it. So it meant he was at a guaranteed disadvantage compared to everybody else.
Yep.
So he pitted in like the last, I'd say 8 or so laps, and got medium tires on, and then just went full tilt for the rest of the race.
Unbelievable stint by him.
He was going quick. He set the fastest lap of the race. He was passing people left, right, and center. I think at the end he was gaining on George Russell, but he couldn't quite
made
catch
up
him.
4 places
He did, yeah.
in 8 laps.
Yeah. It was impressive stuff. He was going very fast.
I'm pretty sure he came out 11th, and
Yeah,
he ended
He
7th.
did. He fell out of the top 10
in
from
8
it.
laps.
Yep. Yeah.
What a gutsy move. And then he just drove the wheels off of that Aston Martin.
Yeah.
Had that crazy save too.
Yeah. And so coming onto the main straight,
When he was chasing Hamilton.
he was catching up to Hamilton. He was so close to him. And then he went too wide going around the one corner, and his back end caught some gravel. He snapped hard left to a point where most people would not have recovered the car. Like, he should have crashed.
Full on, this is me showing you. When you watch the replay, look up Alonso save Chinese GP 2024.
Yeah.
He put 180 degrees of full steering lock to counter steer the drift in a split second, and then unwound that steering. So to get an understanding, explain for me.
So
Lock. This is straight.
yeah. So
Right.
he's steering
As
into the
he's
corner.
steering into the drift. He got it 180 degrees. He lets go with his right hand. His steering wheel is upside down.
Yeah, it's completely
His
upside
steering wheel
down.
is upside down. He feels the slide going back. He unwinds it and stays on the throttle. And within less than a second of his car being straight again, he hit the DRS button to open DRS.
Yeah, he didn't miss a beat. Like,
And he still passed Hamilton.
to activate
the end.
DRS, the drivers have to hit a button
Yeah.
once they cross the line, and then that makes it so they go faster in a straight line. And he was mid-recovery, essentially, and still remembering to hit the DRS button.
He just straightened it
he had
out.
just
and boom.
finished straightening it out, and he's
Took
like,
the
yep,
DRS.
DRS, I'm out. I'm like, and he got back up to Hamilton
And passed him.
immediately and passed him in the same lap. The same lap.
I think it was that straight, wasn't it?
It was like a corner.
Or was
later.
it? Or was it corner after?
Yeah, it was like a corner after.
Yeah, barely lost any time.
It was ridiculous.
Unbelievable.
Ridiculous.
Unbelievable. That's
the more I watch
Again.
him drive, and especially in his Aston Martin era here, I'm genuinely starting to think he's like one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest of all time.
The greatest like driver.
Yeah.
To just pull out and
I think he's just gotten unlucky with the teams he's been
100%.
on more than anything.
And again, Verstappen has that too. I can think of. I think it was Brazil 2016 or 17.
In Silverstone he caught a spin, and then there was
when it was raining.
Yeah, there was another race where it was raining.
It was
and
when
he
he
caught
was
a
super.
180
It was
as
when
well.
he was younger. I think it was 2016. Anyways,
Oh yeah, I do know.
he caught
he caught a crazy drift.
unbelievable downhill drift, caught it and kept going.
Yeah,
he
that was
also
like-
passed Nico Rosberg around the outside in the rain. Unbelievable.
Yeah,
Anyways,
ridiculous.
Verstappen
yeah.
and Alonso are just different driving talents.
I agree. Yeah.
It's beautiful to see. So yeah, Alonso had that unbelievable save.
Yep.
And then just kept slicing through the field. After passing Hamilton, got past Piastri and was catching Russell, but ran out of time.
Speaking of Hamilton, we haven't talked about him much. He qualified very low.
Right, I forgot about that.
Very low.
He was talking about his drive.
He was out in Q1.
He qualified 18th.
18th. He did terrible. He did manage to get back up to his teammate, essentially. I don't think he quite passed Piastri at the end.
Yeah.
But he was close.
Now, Piastri did have floor damage.
Yeah.
But still, that's how it goes. But yeah, he managed to get a recovery drive to P9.
Yeah, from P18
and
to
be
P9.
honest, the 3 cars who retired, other than Bottas, maybe could have put up a fight.
Yeah.
But the other 2 cars who retired I don't think, would have had much stake.
I don't think
so. If you will, in holding Hamilton back. So
people kept saying, "Oh, Ricardo had a chance at points there." He didn't have a chance at points.
Maybe he had a chance at
I
points.
don't think Ricardo had a chance at points.
Let's say, because they were looking better, but
their form was okay.
Let's
but
say Bottas retires, he doesn't get rear-ended. Maybe he gets 10th.
But if he doesn't get rear-ended, that means Lance has no penalty. Lance has no
true.
damage. He's got an Aston Martin behind him. There's no shot.
That's true. I didn't.
People
think
are
about
out of
that.
their mind.
He would have been 11th again.
Yeah, he would have been 11th.
I don't like. This is getting into because that's basically the entire race.
Yeah,
I think I've
is.
just decided I don't like the extra points.
I don't mind them, but I don't get the point. I don't really see what it accomplishes.
So I understand.
It makes it so there's 2 separate races going on at this point to me.
Yeah, I understand that if they're trying to get more points down to the bottom so that they have something to race for, because effectively they have nothing to race for right now.
Yeah, it's pointless.
Pointless. Nice. Very nice. I get that you're giving them something to race each other for other than just, I don't want to end up behind him.
Yeah.
But then you're going to have drivers saying, well, so-and-so is up in the points. And it's like, but they're not, actually.
Yeah, I mean,
top 10 has always had points.
Yeah.
But now you've decided to extend the points. But it shouldn't be celebrated to be in the top 12. That only leaves out 8 people.
I think what would be better, and I think it would get around the issue that
scrap.
Yeah, I think to get around like the issue that you're having would be to introduce a system more like IndyCar where every position gets points.
Yeah.
Because if you have that,
would.
then all the fights actually do matter, and
Yeah.
there's a reason for everybody on the grid to be putting up a fight.
That's a fantastic point.
I've seen that suggested by a couple people, and I think
Yeah.
it makes a lot of sense to
It does.
introduce a system where the points go all the way down.
Yeah.
And then you actually have a legitimate reason for people in P18 to be fighting people in P17.
Exactly.
Because that actually means something at that point.
Yep.
Whereas like just extending it down a little bit, you kind of look at that and you're like, I guess you're just rewarding the teams that couldn't quite make it to the top 10. It's just kind of weird. Unless they do add another team. Then I would be like, okay, maybe do the top 12 then.
Yeah, because that would be the top 50% of the...
Yeah.
Like, if it's the top 50% of the grid, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, then it's like fair enough. But I think it would make a lot more sense to introduce a more IndyCar style of point system where they extend the points further down the grid all
Yeah,
the way.
it would be nice.
Then we have fights that really start mattering, and it becomes exciting to watch a good fight happening down in like P12 or
Yeah, so
P13.
as an example, in this race, with the new points that they're proposing, Oton and Albon would have gotten points.
Yeah.
But it's like, but I mean, I guess Oton was only 2.4 behind Hulkenberg, but 2.4 seconds at the end of a race it's a decent, it's enough.
That's quite a lot. But
and Albon was 3.5 behind him. But you know what I mean? So
and
it's
again,
like it's like
that was with Stroll getting a penalty and having to sit out that top 10.
Exactly.
So realistically, those cars wouldn't have been even close to the top 10 again.
Mm-hmm. But I'm saying, yeah, if they extended it down to the and let's look at Japan for
But again,
fun.
like it's back to what you were saying. You're kind of rewarding
Hulkenberg
people for
and
not really
Stroll.
being that close.
Yeah, it's like, so what are we talking about here? You just have to not DNF.
Yeah.
You just have to not DNF and not be in the worst two teams.
Yeah, that's what it essentially gets down to. Yeah.
And you get points.
Yeah.
Yay?
I'm
Is
not
that what we
crazy
wanna
about
do?
the proposed change.
I'm not either.
But I don't think
would,
it will like make it worse. I just don't care.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit silly.
Yeah.
Do something significant, right?
Yes.
Make a real change.
Yes.
Not just like this kind of little like, ooh, we're gonna give 1 point to somebody in 12th now.
Yeah.
It's just like what, just so that you can get rid of that stat that the bottom 3 teams all have 0 points.
All have 0 points.
Just because you're a bit embarrassed that your regulations aren't really working out right now, like, which they are kind of working out. And it's just that there's a half the field
if you
is way further
subtract
ahead.
Max Verstappen, which you cannot do, I know, but if you subtract Max Verstappen,
It's working
the
fine.
racing is amazing.
Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah.
I'd still love to see Verstappen and Alonso on the same team. It'd be so much fun.
I'd like to see Verstappen in a different car to see what he does with it.
I agree.
Not a bad car, but in a different car.
Yeah, we've only seen him at Red
Bull. It especially now, like you said, with Alonso at Aston Martin, it breaks my heart how he wasted so much time with McLaren and Alpine. It breaks my heart.
Yep. Alpine, his return to Alpine was really sad. Like, surely he could have gotten a better seat than that. Surely. But, like...
I don't think people were willing to take him on.
Yeah.
Which is too bad.
Yeah. But, like, now he's a hot topic, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I imagine there was a lot of teams trying to recruit him at this point.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like really interesting to hear what his new role at Aston will be when he does end up retiring, because it sounds like he's going to be in a role kind of like what Niki Lauda was at Mercedes from the sounds of things. So, I don't know, man.
Might as well buy that green hat now.
Might as well buy that green hat, because it's going to be Alonso's team.
Historically, he's my favorite driver.
Yeah, I know.
Leclerc is my favorite driver. Because he's my favorite driver who drives for Ferrari right now.
I like Leclerc. I'm excited to see the blue Ferrari next race.
I am too, actually. Yes. So for the Miami GP, Ferrari's running a blue livery.
Well, they say there will be blue on it. They haven't indicated that it's going to be fully blue, but I hope it will be.
I'd love for it to be fully
blue.
The
race suits are fully blue. They've shown that.
Yes.
So.
And I actually... So that the picture of Sainz and Leclerc in the blue.
Yep.
You know how Leclerc's wearing that like collared shirt?
Yeah.
I want that shirt.
Oh yeah?
I love it.
The one that I said looks like Brent Butt's shirt?
Yeah.
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 I know, it's kind of stylish.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that shirt.
Technically it's like a bowling shirt.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're bowling shirts. That's what they call it in Corner Gas at least. Yeah.
I don't like corner gas, but that's perfect. That is a perfect way to describe it.
It's like what they would wear to a bowling competition, man.
Yes.
It's kind of cool though.
Yeah, but no, that blue, I love that.
I agree.
love that so much.
Yeah, I think it looks nice. It's like a nice shade of blue and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I like Corner Gas, so it makes me happy from that perspective.
But I'm very excited to see their livery for Miami. I hope it's mostly blue.
Yeah.
Because I actually do think a Ferrari in blue looks striking when done right.
I've seen you sent one concept of blue Ferrari that looked really good.
It looked amazing. And so the reason that they're going blue is because it marks 70 years since Ferrari first entered the US, like, to sell their cars.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's why they're marking that. And they also had blue race suits to kind of commemorate that, like, vintage wise.
Yep.
And actually, there's a very interesting story about blue Ferraris racing.
Really?
So I'm going to get some details of this wrong, but bear with me.
Yeah.
Enzo Ferrari got pissed off with the Italian auto manufacturers group, essentially,
Yeah.
with the National Auto Manufacturers Group of Italy. He got very pissed off with them. So he said, fine, I won't race my cars in red anymore, which to us sounds like, okay, you were the one who picked red.
Yeah.
But that's not how it worked back in the day.
Really?
Back in the day, manufacturers would race with their country's color.
Oh.
So Audi and Mercedes are silver.
Yep.
Because Germany was silver.
Yeah.
Like, that's their color. Italy's color was red.
Right.
So what Enzo Ferrari was saying was, well, I'm not going to race under Italy's banner anymore.
Oh yeah.
So he raced blue cars,
which is American,
back,
right?
yes,
Yeah.
and back in the old Formula One days where they basically looked like that slug thing.
Yeah, I've seen some pictures of the blue, like the old blue
Ferrari. Yeah, they won the championship with that car.
Oh really?
And then the National Automobile Group of Italy changed their tune.
Yeah.
And let them back and
Huh.
undid what they had done. But yeah, and so that has some pretty rich history. And
Yeah,
during
cool.
that time, this is kind of getting off topic again, but a little bit after that, Ferrari ran some cars under the NART team, which is North American Racing Team, very original. But they ran some blue cars with those too in sports car racing and endurance racing.
Yeah, cool.
And yeah, that blue is very legendary. Those blue Ferrari cars are very legendary. So I'm pretty excited to see Ferrari blue back again.
Yeah.
The Ferrari yellow actually looked quite good in Monza.
Yeah,
we discussed that last year.
I agree.
So
yeah. I always like a special livery, especially when it's like actually a significant change.
Yeah.
I didn't really love Red Bull's special liveries last year. They were kind of boring.
Which ones were those again?
They just added some stripes on the side of the car, basically.
And then they made it look like they put suits on the thing for Las Vegas on the car. That
well, they had
lame.
like stars on the side as well for Las Vegas, I think, or something like that.
Right, that's true. And then they added gold once they won the championship, which was just kind of ignorant.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, it looked pretty.
I think
really
the navy
good.
and gold could be a really good look if they like really committed to it, because I've seen a concept for like a full like navy and gold like championship colors.
It looks really nice.
Red Bull, and it looks great.
I'm just sour.
But like and then Miami, they had one blue stripe and a pink stripe.
Yeah,
that kind of like intertwined.
That was strange.
It's just like really lame.
But then like peach Red Bull, like
Japan,
the white Japanese livery. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
The white Mercedes livery was so sweet too.
Yeah.
That was so nice.
Yeah, I like it when teams like fully change up the color. It's really refreshing to see every once in a while.
I'd also like it if Alpine just completely redesigned the livery of their car completely. I don't like the font that they use for their numbers.
Nope.
I don't like blue and pink.
No.
And somehow they make Bear Carbon look bad.
Yeah.
I love Bear Carbon, but the Alpine looks bad.
The Alpine's so bad. It's so ugly. I just don't get it. I look at it and I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, your car looks bad. It's slow.
It's overweight. 11 kilograms overweight.
Yeah, it's overweight.
22.
Your technical heads of staff
23.
all quit. Like,
yeah.
Just to give up. Sell your team to Andretti, please. Please.
And renege the engine thing.
Yeah, and take away the dumb engine stipulation because nobody cares.
Yeah.
I guess
let
the people,
Cadillac put a V8.
I guess the people at the factory care, but I'm sorry, people at the Alpine engine factory. You're making bad engines and you need to be stopped.
It's not the people on the ground's fault. I'm sure it was just a brutal
That's not their fault.
Hierarchical failure, but it's like, but what do you have a terrible product.
Yeah.
Renault, which is Alpine, has had bad engines since 2014.
Yep. They have, yeah.
That's 10 years, actually. That's 10 years of bad engines.
It's crazy. Nice anniversary moment there.
That
for you.
is. I didn't even realize that.
Did
Happy 10th
you-
anniversary to Renault's bad engines.
You know the Top Gear Peugeot episode?
We will make the car très horrible. Yes, I know it.
Très
If you could link it, that'd be so funny. But I don't know if we'll get copyright strike.
I don't know. I don't know if we would, but like
Yeah,
I saw
très ugly.
I saw
Très uncomfortable.
that with like them, like it's the Alpine heads of staff meeting.
That is so funny.
Très horrible.
Horrible.
It fits so well
It's
for this
so
season.
funny.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yeah,
So
the Alpine slander memes. I feel so bad for Pierre Gasly. I don't feel as bad for Ocon.
I mean, Ocon's been with the team for a long time. Gasly, I feel like he must have had some semblance of what he was getting into there.
But when he was going there, I'm like, ugh, that's tough.
Yeah, I was too.
He wanted to get out from a junior team. I get it. But Alpine is brutal.
It was just like he got out from a junior team where he was very comfortably the lead driver, though, and
Mhm.
like realistically, with how Perez has been performing, he had probably a shot of getting
Well,
to.
that's actually true too. And if you took Ricardo out and put Gasly in, he would have finished far better all season.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
it's too bad.
So like I don't know. It seems like a mistake for Gasly, akin to Ricardo originally leaving Red Bull.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Alpine. I can't picture Alpine being a championship winning team again for a very, very long time. They like Renault just hasn't really put the effort required into it.
No.
Not when it comes to who they're hiring. They're not willing to put the actual capital behind it that needs to be put behind it. They're just kind of like not really trying that hard when it comes to winning races.
No.
They still haven't recruited a new team principal, which is outrageous.
That they fired.
Yeah, that they fired with no backup plan in place, clearly. Like it's outrageous, and maybe that's how Gunther is planning on re-entering, is buying a stake
He
in
buys
Alpine.
Alpine.
That would be wild, man. And then he's their new team principal because they don't have one.
Yep.
But now he's a team principal with controlling interest, like Wolf, and
That'd be hilarious.
kind of like Corner, but I guess Corner has less controlling interest in the company than I originally had thought.
Yeah.
Based on some of the things that have happened recently.
Yes.
Which has died down a lot. We're not really hearing anything about the Red Bull drama
It has,
anymore.
but yeah, that report coming and published by Sky News F1
That Adrian is leaving?
is leaving
Yeah,
or
like,
wants to
it
is
sounds like
planning on
he is leaving. Like,
Yeah.
Based on what that said, it doesn't really sound very like wishy-washy. It sounds like he's leaving.
Mm-hmm.
What for, we don't know, but he's leaving.
Yeah,
So
it's crazy.
yeah, pretty interesting.
I wonder how many drivers champions Adrian Newey has.
Not as many as you'd think.
Are you sure?
If I remember correctly. Because I saw like something talking about it recently, and it's like he's made good cars, but he's also had long periods of his career where he was with like teams where they weren't making winning
Yeah, like
cars.
he was with McLaren in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And they had the second best car, but it was the second best.
And like he's been with Red Bull for so long, but Red Bull wasn't winning for a long period of that time. Like, yeah, under Vettel they won some races, but the hybrid era wasn't really his shining moment.
No.
Like the start of the hybrid era.
Yeah, because they had a crap engine.
Yeah.
They always had a good chassis.
Yeah.
Everything he could do was really good, but the engine sucked.
But
So
still,
with
Mercedes was in a
with
different
Red Bull,
league.
he's won 7 drivers' titles and 6 constructors.
Yep.
With Red Bull.
Yeah, just with Red Bull, yeah.
I'm pretty sure he designed 1 or 2 other championship-winning cars, but
did, yeah.
But anyhow, it doesn't matter.
He did. I don't remember who with.
He's the
but
most
you're right.
successful Formula 1 car designer by far.
Oh, yeah. Well, for sure. For sure.
And if he could come to Ferrari, that would make me so happy.
It'll be... But
if he went to Aston Martin, I'd lose my mind.
you know who's at Aston Martin? His old buddy Dan Fallows.
That's true. His old bro. That's true.
They're old chums. They're old Red Bull chums. And that would be hilarious if Aston Martin literally poaches all of Red Bull's staff.
And their engine supplier.
Yeah, and they just transfer everything over to Aston Martin. That's great.
That'd be
That's
so
so
fantastic.
funny. Like, I mean, Lawrence Stroll
And
said he wanted to win.
Lawrence Stroll would literally be able to buy planet Earth at that point.
Yeah, he said he wanted to win at any cost. What better way of winning than literally just buying the championship winning team, essentially?
I just figured it out, David.
What?
Warning. Everything from here on out is pure conjecture, conspiracy, and jokes. I don't mean any of this at all, so please take this within constant.
I think I know
context.
this is going.
Lawrence Stroll
I feel like I know exactly where this is going.
hijacked Christian Horner's WhatsApp account, texted
Okay, never mind.
that female worker that the issue was with, created the entire Horner scandal. Okay? I feel like Charlie in It's Always Sunny created the entire scandal.
Pepe.
So that he could poach Carol, so that he could poach all of the talent from Red Bull to Aston Martin.
I would just like to point out that he's already taken all the talent except for Adrian Newey, essentially.
But he fabricated. He knew Adrian Newey is a man of high moral standards. I need to hit Red Bull's morals. What shall I do? And he went, aha, I will create a scandal surrounded around Christian Horner, their fearless leader, and then I will be able to poach Adrian Newey with all the money on her.
Okay, so what I thought
that was all a joke. That was all a joke.
This continues it. What I thought you were going to say was that
Lawrence Stroll bought HP, and it's an inside job, and he's going to buy Ferrari.
No. Oh. He hired Alonso to get a bunch of hype behind the team so that he get just good enough to attract more talent so that he can get Adrian Newey. And then once the car is as dominant as Red Bull's car, he can fire Alonso, put him in a supervisory role, get a really crap driver to drive his second seat so that Lance can finally win
the championship. It was foretold by Alonso. It was foretold by the prophecy of Fernando Alonso that Lance would be champion.
It'd be great. It'd be fantastic. That's
perfect. Pretty good. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good ruse.
I can't wait for Lance to quit this season and Vettel to come back to the team.
I can't wait. I can't wait for there to be like conspiracy theory YouTube videos that span like 3 hours in like 10 years time about the conspiracy of how Lawrence Stroll took over Formula One.
I mean, they're gonna come eventually.
They have to.
That guy's making waves.
He is.
To
be honest, when he said that, like, when I get into something, I want to win. I was like, okay,
whatever, Lawrence.
All right, Mr. Billionaire.
But
you did the IPO for a fashion company. I get it. You know how to make money. Cool. But then it's like
he's not joking around.
And it's like he bought Aston Martin, and I was like, whoa. He bought a controlling stake in a car company. I was like, whoa, okay. And then he just forced them by the back of the neck into Formula One. And he's like, we're going into Formula One now. And then they're like, okay.
It's like he bought Racing Point and he's like, I need to make this more legit. Buys Aston
Martin, the car company.
Hires Sebastian Vettel.
He's like, I'm getting this guy to help me build a car. Then he retires. He's like, screw it. I'm getting this guy.
Poaches Dan Fallows.
Keep them busy.
Yeah, then
he goes,
Fernando Alonso.
He has this poster. He goes, I'm getting this guy to help me hype up a championship winning team. Then this guy is going to supervise my driver development. And then while that happens, he is going to foretell my son Lance becoming a Formula One champion.
It's just like, it's so wild too. It's not, you're going to force the autofocus.
Whatever.
It's going to be a disaster.
It's worth it. For Fernando Alonso, I would do anything.
It's just so wild as well that they went from being a bottom tier team in 2022 and then like they were just like, well, you know what? We're actually going to go from being one of the worst teams on the grid to one of the best teams on the grid, okay? And good, like everybody will just sit here and watch us. Cuz like everybody was floored that for like 2023 when they came out of the gates swinging, everybody was like, we don't know how they did that.
Yep.
We don't get it at all. Like, we're looking at all this data that we learned from Red Bull as well, and we can't figure it out. These guys just turned around and took a team that was in like 7th place in the constructor and made it the second best team at the start of the season.
That was I think one of the greatest rebounds of Formula One history.
It's the kind of
not
thing
even rebound because they were never up there.
Yeah. It's like the kind of thing that everybody jokes about happening where they're like, well, you know, Haas could win the championship next year. And like, you're all like, well, they're not.
But then it's like, what if somebody in 2022, was it? Yeah,
2022.
If somebody in 2022 told me that Aston Martin could have realistically won a race in 2023, I would have laughed.
Yeah, I agree.
And then if somebody told me Fernando Alonso at Aston Martin could have realistically won a race if they played strategy right in 2023, I would have probably had a brain aneurysm and passed away.
Yeah. Like the most I said
he
was
almost won Monaco.
I said that I thought Aston Martin would make the biggest jump forward.
Yes.
But I could not have predicted
you
how
thought
far of a jump.
You thought 7th to 4th.
Yeah, I thought they would be best of the rest.
Yeah.
Like, I thought they were going to make their way up and like kind of make what's happening now happen, where they like lock in that kind of bottom 2 positions in the top 10.
Yeah.
But like,
no, they were beating Ferrari.
Yeah,
for the first quarter of the season.
They just jumped up. They beat Ferrari. They beat Mercedes. They beat Alpine, which they were actually kind of still quick last year.
Yeah. Then it fell apart.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, and they've kind of like,
and then got back, but now they're
kind of stable this year. Alonso's setting bizarrely fast times, and Lance is really struggling this year, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Because I would have expected him to be closer to Alonso this year with not having the hand injury as an excuse and anything like that.
Yeah.
So I don't really get what's going on there, because he's even further away from Alonso than he was last year, which is weird. But maybe Lance is just having some bad luck at the start of the season, and we'll see him rebound. I don't know.
Maybe this is his Sergio Perez 2023.
Yeah.
Where he middles, and then next year he does everything that he's supposed to.
Maybe.
Which is what Perez is doing this year.
He is, to be fair, except Australia, where he was incredibly slow and couldn't really seem to get the car to work right at all.
Yep.
And in fact, still in most races, he's been realistically incredibly slow for, again, being in by far the fastest
Everything
car.
He's supposed to do is finish second.
He is still finishing second most races.
I'm not saying anything more than that, David. I'm just saying, if Lance Stroll could do everything he was supposed to do, he would be getting points
every race. I agree. Yeah, I agree. Lance, hopefully we see him improve, but I don't know what's going on.
Once again, happy to see McLaren into the points.
Yeah, same. I like McLaren.
Well into the points.
Yep, I like them.
It's been a long time coming.
It's
been 10 years.
I find Piastri a bit of a boring character. I like Lando quite a lot, though.
I like that Piastri is a calm, boring character.
He just doesn't really... He's got kind of no personality, though, eh?
His personality is that he's extremely calm.
His personality is that he's got, like, no personality, though.
I disagree.
I
completely disagree.
Kimi was kind of, like, calm and quiet in a funny way.
Yeah.
Piastri's just, like, a block of lead.
Which is funny.
He's not trying to be funny, though.
No, he's not. Neither was Kimi.
Kimi kind of was.
He wasn't
played
trying
into
to be funny. No, he did not.
Oh, he absolutely... You think that guy didn't play into that whole persona a bit?
I don't think he did.
I think he did to an extent.
No, he would never care to play into anybody's persona. No.
Yeah, it's his own. He's not playing in anybody else's. He's just doing his own thing. But I think he knew he was being kind of funny.
No.
I don't think... Piastri is legitimately boring, I think.
You're way off. I'm ending this cast. You're way off. The Piastri slander I will not stand for.
He's driving fine. I just think he's kind of boring.
Dude's cool as a cucumber.
Yeah, he's too cool.
He is too cool.
He just drives around, and when there's a problem, he's like, oh, there's a problem. And then he pulls into the pits, and he's like, good pit stop, guys. And he drives away, and he's like, this race is going all right.
I'm not gonna accept this Piastri slander. I'm simply not. I'm tuning you out.
And then
you're getting tuned out right now.
And then he
dude.
eats a sandwich after the race, and Sky Sports is like, how was that? And he was like, bread.
Get a load of this.
And
guy.
you're like, oh, that's cool, Oscar. You're like, Oscar, what's your favorite month of the year? And he's like, probably August. And then be like, oh, why? And he's like, it's just kind of near the middle. It's cool. And they're like, oh, well, that's nice, Oscar. How would you like describe your style? And he's like, sometimes I wear t-shirts. And they're like, right. McLaren's a pretty colorful team. You like bright colors, quite a bit?
Okay, enough.
And
Enough.
then Oscar will be like,
Enough.
well, I usually wear browns.
He's a cool dude.
beige,
I like him.
Maybe sometimes a tone.
What about Oscar Piastri to Aston Martin?
Why would he do that, though? He's already in a long-term contract with McLaren, and they're faster than Aston right now, technically.
Are they? If they
I don't know. It's hard to... In race pace, yes. They're
Yeah.
clearly faster in
Yeah.
race pace. A qualifying pace, I don't know. Alonso seems to be able to make the car go pretty fast, so who knows? But, yep. I don't know. I don't know who we'll see in Aston Martin
Who
alongside.
knows? I guess we'll have to wait to tune in. Miami is the upcoming race.
Yep.
That's in 2 weekends.
Yeah, it's not this
time.
weekend. It's the next
It's
weekend.
the next one.
Yeah.
First weekend of May.
Yep.
No. Last weekend of April. No.
No, it's the first weekend of May.
First weekend of May. May 5th, I believe.
I don't know,
So
but
that'll be exciting. Look out for the Ferrari Red Bull. Or
Yeah.
for the Ferrari Blue, not the Ferrari Red Bull.
yep.
I didn't say that. Shut up.
The Red
I'm a Red Bull.
It's a new,
I'm a
Ferrari
fan.
Co-
No!
It's a new
It's a Freudian slip.
collaboration.
No! Ferrari Red Bull.
Adrian Newey joins the team and accidentally keeps putting Red Bull stickers on the Ferrari car. And he's like, oh, crap, I forgot. Oh,
he
no.
starts losing his mind.
Yeah, he goes senile.
He designs a car that's just an RB. And it's the 2 letters when you look at it from the side. But they win races, so Ferrari's like,
He like goes and he presents the new design on the board, and he's like, so this is the RB 22, and they're like, wait, what'd you call it there? And he's
Yeah.
like, I mean the SF, the SF. What number are we on?
What number are you on?
Like
20.
19, 20? That's what we were on at Red Bull,
86?
right?
Yeah. We shouldn't joke about people being senile, especially not the
guess.
best F1 designer ever.
Yep. But I mean, this has been the Chinese Grand Prix. All in all,
It has.
it was an okay Grand Prix. The sprint was better than the actual race.
Sure
but
was. Go watch the sprint race.
Watch
It's worth
the sprint,
It's
enjoy
worth it.
yourselves, and have a wonderful rest of your week until the next Grand Prix, which starts approximately next week once this episode actually goes out. Because it's
Yes.
going to take me a while to edit it because I'm kind of busy tomorrow.
We're
and
not
I'm
going
kinda
to
busy
apologize.
the day after tomorrow. And then I'm hopefully not super busy that
Let's
next
tell them what
day.
we're doing. The day after tomorrow,
We're going
we're going
go-karting.
go-karting
Go-karting. I'm excited.
for a birthday party. And you know
Wait,
what?
whose birthday party?
It's mine.
Oh.
It's mine, yeah. That's why we're going go-karting.
I just thought you wanted to go go-karting. I didn't know it was for
I mean,
your
I
birthday.
do. I do.
I was talking about your birthday to people, and they were
Yeah.
like, what? He didn't invite you to any of the dinners or anything you did? And I was like, no, super rude, right? Didn't do anything for his
It's
birthday.
like I
that
invited
involved
you to
me.
come to Toronto go-karting.
I didn't know that was birthday related, to be
That's
honest.
hilarious.
Anyways, yeah, we're going go-karting.
We're going go-karting for my
So,
birthday.
That should be fun.
We are going to absolutely duke it out.
Yeah.
Because you know what? To be honest, the competition is between us.
Everybody else is going to suck. Unless there's some
Basically.
outstanding
No.
outlier that's going to really
No.
show up.
No. The problem is, unless my cousin is who's never mind. Unless she absolutely destroys in a go-kart, maybe she just sees red. I don't think it'll be. The problem is the weight difference.
Yeah.
Because the go-karts are fairly standard. So we're going to see if my cunning and knowledge and driving abilities can overcome the weight difference.
I've been cutting as
David-
well.
David's been cutting.
Yeah, I've been cutting in preparation for the competition.
I haven't eaten in 3 weeks.
Not eating it all tomorrow.
I'm going to die.
So yeah, I'm dropped down to actually 95 pounds.
What if I entered a What if I entered a ketogenic state?
Yeah.
David shows up looking like Christian Bale.
I look like I'm about to pass out. Just,
Put me in the cart.
I'm gonna win this race. You better believe
like
it.
a skeleton. So that'll be fun. We'll be
That
sure
will
to
be
report
fun.
back how that goes.
Yeah.
Please
Yeah.
sabotage David. Any
I'll
listeners
feel
in
kind
the
of
area,
bad because
please sabotage David.
I think we're gonna leave the other people there in the dust, and I'll feel like a little bit bad about
It is
doing
kind of
that.
funny because my brothers are like, yeah, well, I'll put up a fight, and I'm like, I don't.
I mean, they might,
I
but
don't know if you will. Though.
they also are even heavier than both of us,
yes,
correct? So
yes.
like, they're gonna be at a disadvantage to begin with from that,
And
and
just-
then like, we play a lot of racing games and
We
stuff,
do.
man. I don't know.
Wannabe race car drivers. What can we
Yeah.
say? What can we say?
Yeah.
Not much other than it'll be fun. We're going to K1 Speed Toronto,
Yeah.
and we'll report back with how it goes.
Yeah, cool.
I'll be in a neck brace or something.
Yeah,
David will
you-
have taken me out in a fit.
I
of
mean, I
rage.
plan to like just keep hitting Noah repeatedly. I don't even care about passing him. I'm just gonna keep ramming him.
I actually didn't even think about it because my dad was here tonight, and he was like, I've got a strategy in mind, and I was like, oh, like what is it? And he's like, well, I'm gonna find out how to not get black flagged. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I'm gonna be as annoying as possible for the people behind me to pass.
Do they actually have any?
They do.
Oh, they really do have rules.
They have a flag system, yes.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. They
Well-
don't use them very much, but anyways.
Yeah.
So that was his thing, and then I was like, you'll probably just hold me up and ruin my race, to be
Yeah, I would
honest.
think so.
So anyways, but yeah, it'll be super fun, and hopefully nobody gets severely injured or anything. So
Yeah. I would hope so.
it'll
Well,
be great.
Yeah, we'll report back on that. But this has been the Chinese Grand Prix.
From the Drain guys,
I'm David,
and I'm Noah.
and we'll see you from Miami.
See you from Miami.
Woo.